Story. The city of Fleming Neon will soon have a higher ground community for flood survivors. City officials purchased 20 acres for the project that will be off of Fairview Lane above town. They say the property already has homes on it, making it easier for construction. Executive Director of Pine Mountain Partnership, Jeffrey Justice, says this is a big step in flood recovery as it has been hard to find land, especially in the city.
They acquired some property. They're going to do everything they can to master plan that out, and it's still early. The announcement has been made. They still have to do a lot of the heavy work, but hopefully in a year and a half, we'll see some construction at that site.
Justice says flood recovery has not been easy in Letcher County, but he is happy to see things move along. We'll have more on this announcement tonight at 6. Some Kentucky lawmakers gathered in Lexington to discuss what's ahead in this year's legislative session, which starts on January 2nd. Republicans hold a supermajority in both chambers, but with Governor Beshear back in the governor's mansion, Democrats still hold some control in Frankfort. Jessica Umbro talked with lawmakers about their goals this upcoming session.
With the Kentucky General Assembly meeting in just under 2 months, legislators met here in downtown Lexington to discuss what Kentuckians can be expecting out of lawmakers this upcoming session.
We're going to lead with a conservative bent. That's the mandate we have, and we feel very strongly about our position, and we're going to lead from a position of strength.
Monday's conference, hosted by the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, focused on a wide range of topics, from healthcare to infrastructure to the workforce. But one key fixture of the upcoming session will be the need to pass a 2-year budget and a road plan. The Kentucky legislature must pass one every even-numbered year. We
have a lot of members in the House and the Senate who will be experiencing the budget and road plan project for the first time, so it's going to take a little extra time and energy on those two issues.
Another topic that both parties are discussing is education, with Republicans advocating for increased parental oversight in their child's education, including choosing where their child attends school.
I would anticipate there'll be legislation filed to put a constitutional amendment on the ballot that would give the General Assembly more flexibility to offer more school choice for Kentucky.
Governor Beshear's Education First plan, which he released in August, focuses on increased teacher pay and fully funding pre-K. The governor's team directed WKYT to an August statement that reads, quote, "The biggest difference between the governor's last budget proposal and the General Assembly's enacted budget was the lack of funding for education." While much of today was devoted to looking ahead at this next legislative session, there was still a lot of conversation about last week's elections, particularly how Kentucky's supermajority Republican legislature will work with the state's Democratic governor. In Lexington, Jessica Umbro, WKYT.
We are tracking dry and mild weather across the mountains to kick off your work week, and more dry weather is on the way, all thanks to high pressure. Let's take a live look from the WYMT studio. We are dry, but also notice that haze back in the distance as those fires do continue across the mountains. And unfortunately, some more fire danger on the way this week as more dry weather is also on the way. Those temperatures at this hour are above average. We should be in the upper 50s, most of us right now, in the middle 60s, up to 63 in Jackson, 64 in Somerset, also London, and 66 in Manchester, also Harlan at this hour. Up on the radar, we are tracking a clean sweep, but notice also watching out for a cold front close to the Ohio River. No moisture with that, but that will bring some more cooler weather as we go into tonight. But notice behind that weather system, another area of high pressure set to move in as we go into your Tuesday, also on Wednesday. As we go into this evening, more dry, also clear weather is on the way. And those temperatures are cool back in the middle to upper 40s and some 30s on the way by Tuesday. But Steve, some of us could see some 70s by Thursday. Those details plus the details on rain chances coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Cameron, thank you. I want to go back to our top story now. More Kentuckians will soon have access to faster and more affordable internet. WYMT's Phil Pendleton reports.
The 16 counties chosen were in areas seen as being unserved or underserved, and also where high-speed internet of this caliber is simply just too expensive.
I'm not saying broadband will solve everything, but I don't think you can do much of anything without it.
County officials gathered in London to hear about plans to expand fiber lines across the eastern Kentucky region. Unserved areas in 16 counties will be impacted. Congressman Hal Rogers was not able to make the announcement, but sent a video message from Washington talking about the modern-day highway or super I-way that'll benefit future generations. Some lawmakers said the biggest benefit is education.
I think a lot of our kids are just now learning about computers, they're learning about IT, they're learning about communications. A lot of it come out of the COVID, where they had to do some home schooling.
Some of these projects might be done in as little as 3 to 6 months. Most may take about 18 months or longer to finish. In Laurel County, Phil Pendleton, now back to you.
Phil, thank you. The project also includes wireless towers in and outside the service area. The Pentagon identified 5 U.S. soldiers killed in a military helicopter crash over the Mediterranean Sea. They were all based in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. The Department of Defense says they were in the region as part of broader contingency planning around the war between Israel and Hamas. You can see the list of the names there and the ages. Governor Beshear has asked Kentuckians to pray for the 5 soldiers and their families. Health officials say that battles around hospitals have forced thousands of Palestinians to flee from some of the last shelters in northern Gaza. Meanwhile, they said Monday that critically wounded patients, including newborns and their caregivers, are stranded with dwindling supplies and no electricity. Hospitals in the north of the Palestinian enclave, including the Al-Shifa complex, are blockaded by Israeli forces and barely able to care for those inside. As Israeli troops encircled Gaza's Shifa hospital during the weekend, officials said thousands fled, while hundreds of patients and displaced people remained. The largest hospital in Gaza has ceased to function, and officials say fatalities among patients are increasing.
Hospital under fires. The last example is Shifa Hospital ICU. There is another private obstetric hospital was targeted directly today, and 2 of our colleagues who are specialists in obstetric and gynecology were killed tonight.
The Israeli military has urged Palestinians to flee south on foot through what it calls safe corridors, but its purported drive to separate civilians from Hamas militants has come at a heavy cost. Coming up on First at 4, a major credit rating firm changes its outlook for the United States government.
Plus, the radar is quiet this evening and that dry spell will continue for much of this week. All those details coming up.